To be very honest, 2020 has been one of the toughest years, not only for me, but for basically everyone here on this planet. We've faced losses, have had to adapt to a new normal, and with that has come a lot of pain and rough times. But I sought out to find the positive in this period and spoke to folks I knew to see how they were dealing with the pandemic. Welcome to the COVID Diaries. Okay. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Hafeezat, and today I am here with Cindy. We actually met through my friend Maya, who is the president of the Temple University Public Advocacy Club here on campus, and she was not a keynote speaker, but she was a speaker for one of their events, one of their meetings.
Keynote.
Yeah, she was one of the speakers at one of their meetings, just chatting about her small business as well as the work that she's been doing over COVID, as well as just the idea of kindness and togetherness and how we need that more than ever. So I was like, let me bring her on because this is the exact thing that we need right now in this day and age. So I wanted her to chat with y'all. So Cindy, take it away and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cindy Maria Nell. I am 27. Shocker. I'm a Philly native. I grew up in the Oni section and I went to community college, then Temple. And here I am now with Eat Up the Borders. And thank you so much for having me. So,
Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. So, well, my first question is where were you the day that quarantine was announced, back in March?
I think it was announced on a Monday and I had a day off. So little backstory, I do work in the service industry for my bread and butter. My organization, I do have, we were doing events, but we weren't making much revenue. And so, weekends are my work days. And so I had a Monday off and that's what happened. I was on a Monday and next thing you know, my boyfriend who works in the barber shop was like, hey, I'm getting sent home because quarantine's happening. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very abrupt for a lot of folks. I remember the last day of school before we went into virtual learning, everybody was out. It was actually a really nice day on campus, but everybody was out. They were out of around the bell tower, getting food at the food trucks and stuff because we were like, okay, we don't know how long this is going to last. This might be the last time we can actually do this and stuff. So it was very, very interesting to see come March. So what were your initial reactions to the pandemic as a whole?
I think I was prepared for the worst. So I was prepared for the quarantine because we heard it throughout the news and we heard other countries going to lockdown, and it was just a thing of being in the service industry. It was just a lot of talks and a lot of rumors. So I wasn't really taken back by that. And also my roommate works for Comcast, and apparently their offices across all the other countries we're going to quarantine and it's going to happen to the US soon. So I think I was always just mentally prepared. And when it happened, I was those people this is only going to be 2 to 3 months, right? We're good, And so but I also had that inkling feeling in the background of this is going to get worse. So those were just my reactions of we're just going to do this and everyone should just do their part, and this is only made 2 to 3 months, and then here we are 6 8 months later.
Yeah, it's really wild because a lot of people really thought that this was going to be a quick come and go type thing. I think we really, really underestimated just how impactful that it would be, not only to just the US, but also across the world and all of those things. It's weird to see now since
Yeah,
we're so into it, which goes to my next question, how do you feel about it now, we're 8 months later, it's in November, it's almost the new year, we have been living with COVID for almost a year. How are you managing that? How are you thinking about that?
I don't, it's just so weird because it was a thing of well, in the beginning it was, when I heard Spain and other countries were really hitting it hard, like they were like it was a they were in a serious lockdown. Like the minute you step outside the house, the police are like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And so when I was talking to my friends who are in Madrid, you know, it just seemed like they were kind of in good spirits about things, but they were also worrisome. So I think that just helped me like set the tone of like just being good spirits, but also just being very cautious about it. And so how do I feel about it 8 months later? It's weird because I feel like we've had different waves of the pandemic. It was pandemic when we were afraid, pandemic of like what are we going to do, and then it was like almost like we forgot about the pandemic of like we want that normal, like we wanted things to be normal. And so people were just like in like doing outdoor dining, and like restaurants were opening up again, like at one point because it got like really nice out. I almost felt like we were in New Orleans when they were doing to go drinks in PA, like,
Mm.
you know. And so it's just the thing of like I felt as though there were so many different timelines of like I sometimes forget certain things happened during the pandemic. Like I was like, oh yeah, the George Floyd protesting happened this year. Like it wasn't like, you know, I just felt like it's been
Yeah.
such an extra long year that I forget like we opened up this year with Australia on fire to then protesting to so many different things. How do I feel about it 8 months later? I just feel as though like, damn, like we're still in this, but it's one of those things of like it never got resolved.
Mm-mm.
And I just felt as though, and this is how I feel a lot of things about with a lot of issues in just like the world, it's like if you never face the issue at hand up front, it's always going to be lingering, it's always going to be a thing.
Yeah.
So I just wished if we just did a better job, and not just us, because the thing is like I don't like this whole shaming of this finger, like finger pointing, because like if you're pointing a finger, there's three fingers pointing back at you, you know.
Yeah.
As individuals, why are we tearing each other of like just shaming of who, if someone wants to go outside, or someone wants to get a bite to eat, if someone wants to grab a drink, you know, like if that's keeping someone sane, let them be. You know, it's not up to us as individuals to have this under control. It should have been, you know, the people upper hand, our government,
Yeah.
to have done a better job. There's so much as individuals that we could have done, you know.
Yeah.
Granted, yes, there was a lockdown. Do I think there should have been a lockdown across the board? Maybe more relief, maybe more funding. There's a lot of things, you know. So,
Yeah, I get that. I definitely partake in some shaming, but not to like the extent of like, shaming people who are going to like grab a bite to eat, because I've grabbed a bite to eat a couple times here and there.
hmm,
I have a couple of friends who are in the service industry that had no choice but to like, continue working. So I wanted to go and support them. I wanted to go see my friends, but then I see people who are like having like blatant gatherings and going to clubs and going to these lounges, and I'm just like, okay, that's completely different in my
yeah,
mind. Of like, you need to like simmer down with that. And like a lot of people, especially over the summer, at least from like a college student perspective, they were still trying to host these parties and gatherings, all like the party promoters and such, when we thought we weren't even in the height of COVID, because we're in the height now. Like cases have gone up exponentially, but when we thought we were in it, they were still acting as if, okay, well, it's only one life to live, let's, infect as many people as possible. And I was just like, that's very irresponsible.
hmm.
And also then it's like, why do you want to party so much? Like, is it that entrenched like in your DNA that you need to go out? Like,
Some people just could not handle it. Some people just can't handle it. And I do understand, you know, of that whole mindset of like we want to go out and feel normal. I kind of saw it firsthand when like in the service industry. And I was just like, this is not okay. Like that you need to be out here like this, you know? Um, but yeah, I that's how I feel. But I know. I just feel like when it comes to shaming, don't shame those who just like need some type of normalcy or something for their sanity, and or like needs to go to work, you know?
yeah, especially the work part. Like, a lot of people don't have any choice but to continue like being outside. I think people forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Being inside is a privilege in itself. Being able to work from home is a privilege. All of those things. So I think folks need to definitely remember that.
Yeah,
Um,
and like and what I said again about this whole, it's not up to like certainly us, like so many of my friends were affected by this new restriction of like no more indoor dining. but I drove past City Hall and it was just like crazy crowded with like Christmas Village and stuff like that. And I'm happy for like shopping small and shopping local, but at the same time, it's like, how can you try to close one thing down and then like continue to have these gatherings happening? Like just
Yeah.
shut it down. There's no this in between thing.
Yeah.
So it's
I,
been a weird, it's just been weird. It's just been weird.
it's been weird. It's definitely been weird. And like the fact that there's like not even like a consensus about like what needs to be done just goes to show like how this is probably not going to go away anytime soon, until we get like a clear like direction, like okay, stop this, like period, like across the board, you know. um
Also rent free, relief,
yep.
the stimulus bill, just all of that.
All of it. Oh gosh. Moving a bit away from like the pandemic talk, first of all, before I go into my next question, just like how are you, like how are you doing?
I've been all right. It's just funny, like when you brought this up to me because, like I've told you, I think I was doing great in pandemic, and I only say that because I'm coming from a very outsider perspective, and that outsider is, like I said again, I'm a creative, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm also work in the service industry. And I think for us, like, well, I know for me, like, I don't like 9 to 5s. I don't like this concept of weekends are just these 2 days. Like, you weekends can be an any day if you wanted to, you can have an any day off if you really wanted to and really tried about it. And so I never had weekends, I never really like clubbed and stuff like that. And when I did club, like it was like, oh, thank God, like, like I can actually like enjoy the weekend and things like, or like the weekend and everything. And so like I've always just came from that point of view where it's like I don't ever like look forward towards Saturday and Sunday. Saturday and Sunday, I was making the most money during that time. I never was a person who like, oh, I can't wait until it's 5 p.m. on a Friday and things like that, because I just like created my weekends on my off days. And I also think like my point of view is like everyone who I've talked to in the service industry or who was a creative was we were always working. And so when the pandemic hit and once we got relief, it's like, oh my God, like I get to slow down mentally, physically, and I got to finally like work on myself a little
Mhm.
bit. So I think like I'm coming, and I know I'm speaking from like a place of privilege where I also do freelancing. So I had a couple clients where I could have kept like that money up, but also the money that I got, it helped would eat up the borders a lot. I started going to therapy again. I got a life coach, and that's when I just started realizing like I honestly like the more better I was becoming, the more better my environment was becoming, Eat Up the Borders was becoming, like we were just growing.
Yeah,
So I've just always been great.
that's good
And I know a
though.
lot of people who just have not been doing great. And it's like I said again, like those people that you and I have talked about, like who were like, we need to party. You know what, I didn't want to also shame them a lot because you can just see that like some people just really do live this whole either going to class, then living the weekend, or going to work, then having for the weekend, instead of having this appreciative mindset of you can create your life, for yourself, and that other people shouldn't be creating it for you. And
Mm.
so when I saw people just having these like breakdowns and needing, socialization, it was just like, whatever keeps you sane, I get it. But I don't know, like I said again, I come from privilege. I not only have my partner living with me, I have like two other roommates. So I was never in deep isolation. So I've just been living a great privileged life from where I'm from. And I'm doing well. I know with the seasons I do get like seasonal effectiveness disorder where it's just like myself just wants to hibernate, where I'm like, no, you still have work to do though.
I definitely feel that. I don't like daylight savings. Daylight savings makes me mad. And
Same.
every time I go outside and it's like 6 p.m. and it's just like, excuse me, like pitch black, I'm like, this is weird. It feels like it's midnight. I don't like it. I don't
Mhm.
like it at all.
Yeah, because our
Uh,
body's just shutting down. Our body's like, oh, it's dark out. Like already, it's like, why is there's no light? I think the only like normal thing I'm missing, because winter is usually like my season. I am a Sagittarius, and I do love like Christmas lights. I love going to like Macy's and looking at the Christmas light show and like about to celebrate my birthday. But I just know this year, like I'm just staying put and just being careful. So that's the one thing I am missing. Is just like seeing like all the interactions in the city and like oh, I love ice skating. I have like my own pair of skates and I can't ice skate this year.
Yeah, it's really sad. I wanted to go ice skating actually with a couple of like the other RAs in my building, but then like with the new COVID restrictions, one of the messages was like, "Hey, I don't think you should go just because of like this and like health." And I was like, "You know what? You're right. Like
Mhm.
it's sad. Like we want to hang out, but like we also gotta like keep ourselves safe, keep our family and close friends and whatnot safe." So
Exactly.
yeah. But you mentioned Eat Up the Borders. So if you want to like share more about what that is and what y'all do, go ahead.
Yeah, so the Borders, we're an organization where we like to highlight immigrant, small, and family-owned businesses, mainly restaurants. And so, how we started off was doing cooking classes in the restaurants. And then before COVID happened, we were doing more like interview blog style. Then COVID happened, and now we're just doing more blogging stuff. We wanted to do like a couple events, but then this new restriction happened, and so now it's just just rolling with the punches.
Okay, so you touched upon it a bit. So like because of COVID, like you've had to like switch up, how you do the work you need to do for Eat Up the Borders. Has it been successful? How have you been going navigating of that?
Like I said again, because I finally got the time I needed, because I always felt like time was never my best friend. And like I write about it, even during COVID, I wrote about it on my social media that time was never my best friend. And now I'm given time. And I'm like was so grateful for it. And again, like with the money from unemployment, we just got to really build. We really got to slow down and be like, what do we want? Like what's our next 1 year, 2 year, 3 year plan, and things like that. So it really helped us just slow down and be like, yo, this is sucking for everyone, but like, what can we do for ourselves first? So we are about to launch a new website in 2021.
Ooh.
Where we worked with a new web developer, and how we've just been functioning. We were still trying to do food tours. So when it was things were safe, we were having like very like safety like food tours that like some of the restaurants that wanted us, and that's what we are doing. We are just trying to go back to being normal again in a way of just doing blogs. Obviously we can't do events anytime soon. We were thinking about virtual cooking, but that's gonna be more time and more work that we need to work on.
Yeah. And like just folks, just so you know, I'll put everything like in the description box for you guys to like click and everything if you want to check out her work and such. But it's very, very good stuff. I love it. So what is one of your most memorable memories of Eat Up the Borders so far?
So far this year, or just like so far in general?
If you want to do both, you could do both.
I think this year, just seeing our team like just really grow and flourish, like with before it was just me and one other person, and now we are a team of 4 to 5 people, and just seeing like I tell my photographer who's been with me for like ever, I was like, just seeing you like grow through the years with your photography has been just like a beautiful transformation, and just seeing everyone who's involved and how much like love they're putting into things, and like the partnerships that we're growing with. I can't name all of them, can't name some of them because they're still in the works, but like this year has been a great year for us, just really like building amongst the community. But my most memorable is we had an event called Taste of Culture Home for Everyone. And it was just like we brought in small businesses and small restaurants coming in, and there was a DJ there. And so it's just like a food fair, almost like a block party we had. a food truck, and then we had a drum line come out to perform. Then we had someone else perform, teach people how to dance salsa and bachata. And it was just like a great time. Also, like one of the restaurants, because they're from Syria, they were also like doing hookah. So it was just like also like this fun thing of like someone's, selling glass over there, selling clothes. Oh, there's hookah, there's food. Oh, there's like a live painter, there's like a free haircuts. And so it's just like that. Like I said again, it's like home for everyone. It's just trying to do good things for the community.
I love that. Community is something that I've been striving for more and more recently. I think it's something very important to have. Also, I love bachata so much, and I can't dance it very well, but I love it and I love the music. So I'm so sad that I missed out on this.
When
But
2021 or 2022 comes around, we'll do another one, and you can learn from the dance group again.
yeah, I'll be there. Hopefully, I'll be there. I'll make time. I'll make room. But yeah, community is something very, very important, especially now. Something that people really need to, if they don't have it, I really encourage folks like, seek it out. Because being isolated, being cooped up by yourself is not fun, especially in a pandemic. And with all these restrictions, it would be beneficial to have a couple folks to kind of be your sounding board, to kind of be there, just help you out, keep you kind of calm and sane.
Yeah, and like, with all bad comes good. Like I think if you realize this year, oh my God, I don't have a community, you can then find a community. I think, like I said again, we before this ever happened, we were just so busy and things like that. And like I was just telling a friend before this, I was like, I this year just shown me where I stood in my own life, where I stood with family and with friends, and like where my community lies, and like where I should like honestly be watering and fertilizing more. So I do think anyone who's out there who's listening, if I'm always a person like try to look for the silver lining. And if you were like, I'm lonely, or because of like, I don't have anyone, just really like dive into your hobbies or what your interests or what you like. And granted, sometimes I don't like social media, but like you really can build a community through social media and once you open up. And I think, you and I had this conversation when I was talking amongst Maya and everyone else for the advocacy club, that like the more you open up, like you'll be surprised like who's out there listening and that can
Mhm.
respond to you. Like I
Yeah.
said again, like I knew I came from a place of privilege of actually getting my unemployment, of living here, of being amongst friends. And like I once I start opening up my experiences, other people in the service industry or those who are creatives or just anyone else who were having a good time during 2020 were like, okay, cool, like we can open up and like have these conversations. So I think the more you just like give, the more you're gonna get.
Yeah. And like it's funny because I think about like social media and how like back then, my parents and all our parents was like, don't talk to random people on the internet. But now like I have so many friends like through the internet that it's great. It's wonderful. Be careful. Obviously there's like still catfishes and bots and stuff, but you can tell when somebody's real.
You can tell. Just
You
listen
can
to
tell.
your gut.
So we're at the last question. But like, how can folks support small minority-owned or immigrant businesses, like while staying safe wherever they are?
Wherever they are, I know there's a lot. I've been finding a lot this year through Instagram, like through the hashtag, and it could just be women owned or just, and if they're in California, buy something small, they do shipping, or even here right now locally. Like I would honestly, there's so many bloggers who are doing about like small owners or small shop owners, but honestly for restaurants right now, like I said again, they're being hit the most. Just don't buy from Center City, y'all. Like, don't get me wrong, they're great, they're cool, but if you're in your neighborhood, order from that mom and pop shop you don't know about, or order from the mom and pop shop that never got really good reviews, because you will be surprised. And just like leave them a tip, leave a review, and just share. I think, just sharing the information about them, buying from them, and tipping them, and giving a review, because like some people who are giving these reviews are probably like I don't know what, but I was surprised sometimes when I'm like, oh, you only have like 3 stars. And like you go and you get their food. And I'm like, why are they, some people are just out here not having a good day and it's just like writing bad reviews. So if you can like write reviews to bump up their their stars, that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very important. Shop small, support small. Very, very important things to do, especially during this holiday season. This is going to be coming around like December-ish. So it's going to be almost Christmas time. So if you don't feel like cooking, don't buy from like Boston Market or something like that. Get some really nice, authentic food from a different place, like you've never had before. Maybe to get some Mexican or some like Thai or something.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like I know a lot of people are always like, oh well, like they're not on Uber Eats or they're not on this, or even when I call them, like I don't understand their accent or whatever. I'm like, just try, because
Yeah,
you're out here just trying. And again, we're not getting any relief from the government at this point, or even from the city. Like it might seem difficult, but whatever money you can give to them is feeding also their mouths and probably their family's mouth.
yeah, their livelihood is very, very important this time, especially with like lack of like government intervention, which I've talked about like ad nauseum. Like it's really, really disappointing. I could go on a whole rant about it. But we can do our part, as individuals as much as we can. And also, I don't think people should feel pressured to give more than they can in their means. Because like if you only have $5 to give, buy a beverage,
Yeah.
buy a small snack. If you have more than that, do as much as you can.
Or
Don't feel
if you,
pressured.
like, again, if you can't even buy, share their photo, yeah, out on your social media. You'll be surprised like who you're gonna reach.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any final words that you might have?
Um, oh my. If you're out there still having a difficult time, please just reach out. Like I said, if you're someone who's like more reserved, like I'm telling you, once you open up, you'll be astounded of like what reactions you're going to get and what community you can find. And those who are also having a good time right now, who are in a point of privilege, be that positivity for other people out there. I remember during quarantine, I was like doing a thing like happy quarantine, like just to like just like get people's spirits again, like up, like hey, like instead of just being like, oh, we're in a lockdown, like just like happy quarantine. So those who are doing well, spread that joy. Those who aren't, please reach out, whether it's to me. She'll put my social media out there. I'm always up here for like any just to talk to anyone. Or if you are just want to talk to the people in your circle, like you'll be surprised. Like you'll be like, I don't want to bother them. Like, no, like they would want to hear from you.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Make sure you guys are writing this down. Very important stuff. Well, with that, thank you, Cindy, so much. I really appreciate having you here. Folks, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with anybody who needs to hear it. All of her stuff is going to be in the description box, as well as my stuff. You know the deal. And I will see you very soon. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.